Hello students, I am Dr. Vijay Panse from the Department of Computer Applications, and let us continue to learn programming methodologies using C++. So in the previous video we have learnt about the process before the execution, that is pre-processing, compiling and linking. Then we have also learnt about tokens, which are the smallest units of a program of C++. Then we have learnt about keywords. So we have while, for, void, int. All these are the examples of keywords. And identifiers. So identifiers are the names of the variables, functions, arrays, classes, etc., which are created by the programmer. So various naming rules of the identifiers. We can only use alphabets, digits and underscore in the name of the identifier. It cannot start with a digit. They are case sensitive. That means small a and capital A would be taken up as different identifiers, and a keyword cannot be used as a variable name. So all these keywords cannot be used as variables. So let us learn about the basic data types which are used in C++. So we have various built-in data types. Okay, for example, we have integer, we have character. Okay, so this is integer. Then we have floating type, that means which can store the decimal values, that is float and double. Then we have a variable called as void, which means there is no output. Void means basically there will be no output for this. Then we have derived type, that is array, function, pointer and reference. And then we go to the user defined data types, which are structure, union, class and enum, that is enumeration. These are the built-in data types which are used. Okay, so now this is the type of the data, that is which can store a character. This is char, and this bytes means how many bytes of space would be taken up in the memory if we define a character in a program. For example, I am writing a program and I take the input of one character and two integers. So integer will take 2 bytes, so two integers will take 4 bytes and one character will take 1 byte. So total this will take 5 bytes. So this is how we can estimate the amount of memory that will be utilized when we'll make a program. If I talk about float, float will also store the decimals, but the integer types cannot store decimal. Okay. Now if I talk about unsigned integer, it will only store the positive values from 0 to 65535. If I talk about integer, usually we use integer in a program. We define variables like int a, int b. So the capacity of those values are from -3 to 768 to +3 to 767. So if I talk about signed integer, if I talk about short integer, so all of these, the range is the same. Okay, if I talk about unsigned short integer, the range is from 0 to again 65535. If I talk about long int, the range increases, as you can see, and if I talk about signed long int, the range is given over here, is the same. And if I talk about double, so again the range is a little more. And if I talk about long double, that is the maximum, which will take up 10 bytes memory space. It can hold up a very big value. So this is all about the basic data types that we use while creating a program. So if we talk about user defined data types, so which are structures, union, classes and enumerated data types. So these are used when we go a little advanced. So let us begin with the structure of a C++ program. So first we include the header files, then we have the class, then we have member functions, and then we have the main function. So main function, we usually use void main or int main. So I can write over here as void main. Okay, if suppose my result will be of an integer type, so I can also define the main function as int main. Okay. Now member functions, in the beginning when we'll make the programs, we'll only be using the main function. These parentheses in programming, we call them as parentheses, or we also call them as functions. So these are all functions. Then we also have class declaration in programming. When we'll go to the advanced level, we'll first define the classes and then we'll go ahead with the programming. And the most important thing is the header files. Okay. Now in C++, basically we use two header files. First we'll be using iostream.h. Here .h stands for the header file, and the other header file that we'll use is conio.h. So before we begin, let me tell you the meaning of both of them. So iostream stands for input output stream. So I have written it like this. So I stands here for input, O stands for output, and stream. So this iostream contains all the commands which will be used to take the input by the user and to display the output which will be printed after the processing of the data. If suppose I want to make a program to find the sum of two numbers entered by the user, so we'll take up first value, we'll take up second value, we'll do the processing, and then we'll print the answer. So all these would be done by using the iostream. Next we have is conio.h. So conio, here con stands for console, that is our monitor, because we'll be typing the data on the monitor which will be visible on the monitor, and whatever the program will print, the output would be visible again on the monitor. So it's console. IO stands for again input and output. So these are the two header files. So let me go ahead and show you how we install Turbo C++ and how we can make the first program. So I am going on my desktop. So I have the setup of Turbo C++. It is very small in size. It is just 2.63 MB. So I have double clicked on this. Okay, I click on yes, and I just click on next, except this is going in the C drive and the space required, it only shows 10 MB. So I just click on install. It is installing. So it will just take a few seconds. It has been installed and I want to run the C++. So I click on finish, and now it is loading. Now see, there are a few programs which are opened already. So we can either like close them by clicking on this dot, or the shortcut key to close it is Alt F3. So we can close them by pressing Alt F3. Now I need to start my code of C++. So I'll just press Alt F on the keyboard. It will open up this, and I go to new. So when I click on new, you can see here it says no name 00.cpp. Now this CPP stands for C++. This is the default, this is the file extension. Okay. So I have pressed the F5 key on the keyboard. If you are using a laptop, you need to press the function key along with the F5 key, and F5 will make it full screen. The code will be appearing full screen. Now I need to start writing the code. So let me start with the header file. So I have to write hash include, and I write iostream.h. This is the one which I explained just now, and then I write hash include conio.h. So these two are a must when we are writing a program in Turbo C++. Now I write void main. This curly bracket states that the void main is starting over here, and this curly bracket shows that the void main is ending over here. And at the bottom of the screen you can see some numbers over here. It says 7:2. Now it shows 7:1. Okay. So this 7 is the 7th line. If I take my cursor up, this is first line, and this is the column number. So if you see, it's I click on include. So now it has become 8. So this is the 8th column of the screen. So this you will be used to it when you will just make 1 or 2 programs. Now I have put my cursor on the 3rd line, so it's 3:8 and the value is changing. So first let me write a command to just display hello. So I'll simply write over here cout, and this I use the insertion operator, and I write over here hello all, and I have to end all the commands by putting the semicolon. So now let me save the code. So I go to File, I press Alt F, and we can see the menu. The shortcut key for saving is F2, and I can just type the name of the file. I can write over here P1, and as soon as I press enter, by default it will take the extension .cpp. So here P1 stands for program1.cpp. Now few things to be remembered over here, that the maximum P1, here I have used 2 characters. The maximum characters that can be used to save the code is 8 characters. I cannot give a very big name. I can only use 8 characters. And the second thing is I cannot have a space in between the name. I can use underscore, but I cannot have a space in between. So to run the code, I can click on run, and the shortcut key you can see is Control F9. I can just press Control F9, or I can go to run the code. Now I did not see anything on the screen. There was it ran, but I cannot see. So to see, I have to use the shortcut key Alt F5. Okay, so here is the shortcut key, like it says user screen, which says Alt F5. It's there in the window menu. So when I press Alt F5, you can see that hello all is there at the top. Let me write a different line over here. I can write this is my first program in Turbo C++. So again I can press Alt R, it has opened up the run menu, and I click on the first one, that is run. So it is loading, and again I cannot see. Again I'll have to go to window, and I go to user screen, that is Alt F5. So it says this is my first program in C++. Now see, the previous output is still there on the screen, and again it shows is my first program. Now I change, instead of writing first program in Turbo C++, I write over here first program using Turbo C++, and I run the code. The code is running, and I press Alt F5 on the keyboard. Now I don't want these previous text to be there coming up again and again. If I run the code a number of times, okay, and then I press Alt F5, you can see it is showing up the same thing again and again. So like the teacher uses a duster to clear up the screen, I have a command that is clear screen. So I write CLR SCR, and the semicolon tells the compiler that this is the end of the line. Clear screen I have given, and here I write programming in Turbo C++. And again I go to run, and I run the code is run. So now I press Alt F5, it says programming in Turbo C++. Now I don't want to go to window and again click on user screen. So for this I have another function that is called as getCh. So I'll just write over here getCh. Now get is get, ch stands for character here. So when I will run this code, I press Alt F5, it shows programming in Turbo C++. Now I don't have to go back and press Alt F5 again and again, or I don't have to go to window and click on user screen. So I'll just press any key on the keyboard, and it will go back to my blue screen where I have to type the code. So this is how we can work with C++. Now to save the code, I can simply press F2 key on the keyboard. The code has been saved. To close this, I can press Alt F3, and to quit, the option at the bottom it says Alt X, or I can click on Q, so my code has gone. So I have closed the C++. Now to open the C++, I can just write over here turbo. So here you will see turbo C++. The shortcut is over here, so I can just click on it and it opens up. I think it did not click. I click on open, so it's loading up again. So this I have shown you how to exit turbo C++, how to open turbo C++. Our P1 is still opened. If you want to open it, now I have closed it. To open it, you can either press F3 on the keyboard or you can press Alt F and click on and select open. Now here it is showing only the C file, so I press .cpp and I press enter. So here we have our first program made by us, that is P1. So I can select it and this is the program that we made. Now let me also show you about the integers before we end. So I am defining a variable int a and I am defining another variable int b. I am giving the value of a as 5, I am giving the value of b as 6. So I have defined the values of a and b as 5 and 6. Now I'll just display. So I am writing the value of a is equal to, I write over here a, and now I am using copy and I am using paste, and here I write the value of b is equal to b. Now here I have not used another character, so it will appear in the same line. Let me run and show it to you. So I press Alt F5. Okay, so I don't have to press Alt F5, I press Control F9. So it says the value of a is equal to 5, the value of b is equal to 6, but it should be on the next line. So I can use a /n, which stands for the next line. So if I run the code now, it shows the value of a is equal to 5, the value of b is equal to 6. So I am simply writing over here cout. Okay, I again have to use /n and I write sum is equal to, I have to close the double quotes. When we are writing double quotes, it means the string is there inside the double quotes, and I simply write over here a plus b, and let me run the code again. So this is, it's showing value of a is equal to 5, value of b is equal to 6, and sum is equal to 11. So that's it for this class. We'll learn more in the next class. Thank you and enjoy your time.